Welcome back to Undercover, Waterproofing and Underpinning Secrets, the podcast from DGI Waterproofing. I'm your host.
And I'm the expert joining you today.
This is episode 15. And if you're tuning in, chances are you've maybe stared at that $50 can of waterproof paint.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe you got a quote from a professional like us at DGI for maybe, I don't know, $5,000.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, what's the deal here?
It's a really common dilemma. I mean, the math seems so simple on the surface, right? Save thousands, just do it yourself.
But it's not that simple.
No, it's really not. And that simple math, it hides a pretty uncomfortable truth about what's actually going on with water in your foundation.
Exactly. So our mission today in this deep dive is to have that real conversation, the unbiased look at DIY versus calling in the pros.
We're going to get into the science of why things fail, the physics, the actual materials.
The logistics, yeah. Because that $50, it feels like savings, but it could be a gamble. You might be betting against, a potential $28,000 water damage bill.
That's the high end, but yeah, it's serious money. And look, the stats are pretty stark. Nearly 60% of homes in the U.S. have some kind of below-ground wetness.
60%?
And the thing we see doing repairs day in and day out, the vast majority of those quick DIY attempts, they fail.
Why, though?
Because they almost never address the source of the water. So you end up paying twice. Once for the DIY stuff, and then again for us to fix it properly.
Okay, so today's focus really is, it's about seeing past just the damp spot on the wall.
Right. It's about diagnosing the actual disease, not just slapping a Band-Aid on the symptom.
Okay, let's unpack that diagnosis part first.
Yeah.
Before you spend any money, DIY or pro, you got to know what you're actually dealing with, what's your basement telling you.
Yeah, and basements, they're not always straightforward communicators, are they? It usually starts subtle, not a big flood, just hits.
Subtle clues.
Exactly. We kind of break the warning signs into two groups. First, you've got the obvious red flags, stuff that screams, call a pro, like what? Yeah, standing water, puddles, absolutely. Yeah. Visible mold or mildew. That's not just ugly, it's a serious health hazard.
Right. Can't mess around with mold.
Definitely not. Or, major structural issues, big cracks, wider than a credit card, walls bowing. That's immediate professional territory.
Okay, those are the loud ones.
Yeah.
But you mentioned subtle hints. I bet those are the ones that trip people up. They ignore them for too long.
That's exactly right. Those subtle signs cost people big time down the road because they think, it's just an old house thing or it's just cosmetic.
So what's the number one subtle sign you see?
Probably efflorescence. That's the big one.
What now?
Efflorescence. It's that white, kind of powdery, sometimes fuzzy-looking stuff you see on concrete block walls or even poured concrete.
I think I know what you mean. Looks kind of like salt deposits.
Exactly. People mistake it for salt or dried soap or something. But what it really is, it's the minerals left behind when water seeps through the concrete and then evaporates on the inside surface.
So it's like a visible proof water is moving through the wall.
Bingo.
It is definitive proof that water is migrating through your foundation. Period.
Okay, that's a huge one. What else is lurking down there that people might miss?
Well, peeling paint is a big one. Or wallpaper that's bubbling up.
Right, you think it's just a bad paint job.
But it's not. That's usually moisture behind it, actually pushing the paint or paper off the wall. It's that hydrostatic pressure we'll talk about.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, check for rust. On metal things you store down there, like tools, or even on the support posts or metal brackets. Excess rust means excess humidity.
Meaning water's getting in somewhere and evaporating.
You got it. So, look, if you're listening and nodding along to, say, more than two of these signs, the efflorescence, the peeling paint, the rust, maybe a musty smell, then you probably have an active water problem that needs more than just, opening a window.
Okay, so that leads us right into the harsh reality check, section 2. Why does the DIY approach fail so often? You said it's not always about being unhandy. No, usually it's not. It's about the complexity. The real problem is almost always deeper or somewhere else entirely than where you actually see the water inside.
So the number one reason is you're fixing the wrong thing.
Precisely. Misdiagnosis. That's the killer. You see a damp spot on the north wall, so you paint it, right?
Makes sense.
But the actual problem might be a clogged weeping tile 8 feet underground on the south side. Or it could be a tiny crack letting water in behind your finished rec room wall. Or maybe the groundwater level is just rising seasonally.
So you can paint that north wall forever.
You can paint it till you run out of paint. But if the water source isn't stopped, water will find a way. It always does.
Which brings us to the physics lesson. You mentioned hydrostatic pressure.
Ah, yes, the invisible enemy. Hydrostatic pressure. This is where it gets really interesting and where DIY stuff just hits a wall, literally.
Okay, break it down for us.
So when the soil around your foundation gets saturated with water, think heavy rain, snowmelt. That water in the soil exerts pressure, like immense pressure on your foundation walls. We measure it in pounds per square inch. It's powerful enough to force water through microscopic little holes and gaps in the concrete itself.
Wow, microscopic gaps.
Absolutely. Concrete looks solid, but it's porous on a micro level.
So me going down there with my $50 can of sealant, I'm basically trying to hold back maybe hundreds, thousands of pounds of water pressure.
That's a perfect analogy. You're using a product designed, frankly, for maybe dampness or very low pressure situations against a force that can literally crack foundations over time.
So those paints and sealants,
Mhm.
they just can't handle it.
They really can't. They're what we call negative side waterproofers. You put them on the inside after water has already come through the wall.
Right.
They simply aren't built to resist that constant positive pressure from the outside soil. So what happens? They peel, they bubble, they fail.
How quickly?
Often within one season. Seriously, I can't count the times we've gone to a basement, homeowner's proud, just painted it, and you push on a bubble the size of a dinner plate.
And water squishes out.
Exactly. Water sloshing right behind it. It's heartbreaking, honestly. They spent the money, the effort.
So why are these products even sold if they fail under pressure? Is it just misleading marketing?
Well, they do have uses for very light dampness, maybe high humidity control, or sealing tiny spots of efflorescence where there's minimal actual water pressure. They can help a bit.
Okay.
But people use them for active leaks, for areas under real hydrostatic load, and that's where it becomes a disaster. A professional fix, like the injection materials we use at DGI.
Yeah.
We inject specialized polyurethanes or epoxies into the crack under pressure. They expand, they cure deep inside the wall, creating a seal that actually fights back against that external pressure. It's a totally different approach.
That makes sense. It tackles the problem from within the structure itself. Okay. Section 3, the Band-Aid trap. You mentioned DIY focuses on the surface, ignores their stuff,
Yeah, and often the biggest blind spot is what's happening outside the house.
like gutters.
Gutters are huge. We see it all the time. People spend hundreds sealing inside, but their gutters are overflowing. Or the downspouts dump water right next to the foundation, like inches away.
You're just pouring water where you don't want it.
Exactly. You have got to manage the water before it even gets near the foundation. Check your grading, too. Does the ground slope towards your house?
Oh.
If it does, you're basically directing rainwater right at the spot you're trying to seal. It's working against yourself. A pro assessment always looks at the whole picture inside and out.
Okay, good point. And what about prepping the surface inside? You mentioned that's tricky.
Oh, it's critical, and it's where DIY often falls short because it's tedious and time-consuming.
What's involved?
To do it right, you have to completely remove any existing coating, scrape off all that efflorescence, clean the concrete thoroughly.
Yeah.
And then here's the kicker. You have to let the concrete dry completely, properly dry, depending on how wet it was, how humid the basement is. That can take days, sometimes weeks.
Weeks. Nobody with an active leak wants to wait weeks.
Exactly. So people rush it. They paint over concrete that's still damp or still has that powdery efflorescence on it.
And the paint just peels right off again.
Pretty much instantly. Poor adhesion. Even a good product will fail if the surface prep isn't perfect.
So let's do that honest math again. Say DIY costs $300 in materials, but you got to redo it every, 1 to 3 years?
If you're lucky, yeah. Sometimes less.
So over 20 years, you spent thousands anyway, plus the hassle, plus any damage that happened each time it failed.
You nailed it. The cost of the repeated effort, the frustration, not to mention the potential for ongoing mold growth or damage to stored items, it adds up fast. It often eclipses the cost of just getting a professional warranted system put in once.
Okay, but are there any situations where DIY actually makes sense? We don't want to say it's never an option.
No, absolutely not. We're not saying that. There are definitely appropriate times for a homeowner to tackle things themselves.
Good.
Yeah.
So when can you, the listener, feel confident doing it yourself without calling us at DGI?
The main time is for pure moisture management. Keyword. Management, not active leak repair. Meaning if you just have that general light dampness, maybe a slightly musty smell, high humidity readings, but no standing water, no visible leaks coming through cracks, no major stains, no structural issues.
Okay. Just kind of damp air.
Right. Then focusing on controlling that humidity is key. Get a good dehumidifier, maybe improve ventilation. You could even use one of those vapor barrier paints designed for dampness control. That's maintenance.
Gotcha. What about tiny cracks? We said hairline cracks are risky earlier.
They can be, but if you have a really minor crack, like less than 1/8 of an inch wide, and it's stable, meaning it's not getting wider,
Okay.
and crucially, it's not actively leaking water even during heavy rain,
Yeah.
then maybe you could try patching it with hydraulic cement as a temporary measure.
But you got to be honest with yourself.
Totally honest. If you see any water weeping from it, even a trickle, it's beyond a surface patch. That needs professional injection to stabilize it and properly seal it.
And what about the outside stuff? Gutters, downspouts. Is that high-value DIY?
Oh, absolutely. That's probably the highest value DIY work anyone can do for basement health. And honestly, it helps any waterproofing system, pro or otherwise.
So what should people do?
Clean your gutters regularly. Extend those downspouts so they discharge water at least 6, preferably 10 feet away from your foundation.
10 feet. Okay.
And check your grading. Make sure the soil slopes away from your house. Aim for about a 1/2 inch drop per foot for the first few feet out. Those 3 things are basic, essential home maintenance. Every homeowner should be doing them.
Okay, so view DIY maybe as essential maintenance or possibly a very temporary patch or humidity control.
Stopgap, yeah. Maybe while you save up for a permanent professional solution if you know you have a bigger issue, but understand you're managing, not solving, an active water intrusion problem that way.
Right. Okay, let's shift gears. Section 5, the professional advantage. When someone calls DGI, what are they actually paying for? It's more than just labor and materials, right?
Oh, definitely. You're paying for expertise, for risk mitigation, for science, and yeah, peace of mind.
So walk us through it. What's the DGI process look like? What are you getting?
Well, first and foremost, it starts with that accurate diagnosis we keep talking about. We don't guess.
No assumptions.
None. We do a really
Yeah.
thorough assessment. We're looking outside at the gutters, the grading, drainage. We're inside using specialized moisture meters, maybe thermal imaging sometimes, checking for structural issues. We pinpoint the exact source and path of the water. That step alone eliminates the biggest reason DIY fails.
Okay, diagnosis first, then material.
Yep. And that's a huge differentiator. We use commercial grade products, stuff you simply cannot buy at the hardware store.
Like what?
Industrial strength sealants, specialized injection resins. For example, with crack injection, we choose between epoxy, which creates a super strong, rigid bond for stable cracks, or flexible polyurethane that expands rapidly on contact with water. That's perfect for actively leaking cracks or foundations that might have tiny movements over time. That kind of specific material science isn't available off the shelf.
Right, you need the right tool for the specific job. And it's usually a system, not just one product.
Always. A professional solution is a comprehensive system approach, especially if we're doing interior waterproofing. It's not just patching a crack.
So what does that system involve?
Typically, we'd start by repairing any cracks with that pressurized injection. Then, we might install a heavy-duty polyethylene vapor barrier, often one with an antimicrobial layer to stop mold.
Okay.
But the core of many interior systems is the interior drain tile.
Right, that sounds major. What is it?
It is pretty involved, yeah. We carefully remove a section of the concrete floor along the inside perimeter of the foundation walls. Then we install perforated pipe, the drain tile, in a bed of gravel.
Under the floor.
Under the floor, yeah. This system collects any water that seeps down the wall or up from below before it can get onto your basement floor. It intercepts it.
And where does the water go?
It channels it directly to a sump pump system, usually a primary pump and a battery backup pump for safety, which then pumps the water safely away from your house.
So that drain tile, that basically neutralizes the hydrostatic pressure before it pushes against the inside wall.
Exactly. You got it. It manages the water at the source, right at the foundation footing level. It shifts from just trying to block water on the surface to actively collecting and removing it. It's designed to handle significant water volume for decades.
And the final piece is the warranty, right? The peace of mind.
That's arguably the most valuable part for the homeowner. When a reputable company like DGI warranties the system, often for 20, 30 years, sometimes lifetime transferable.
Yep.
We're taking the risk. If our system fails and water gets in within that period, we come back and fix it. Period. No extra cost to you. That professional investment comes with a 95% plus success rate. It lasts for decades, protects your family's health from mold.
Mold grows fast, doesn't it?
24 to 48 hours on damp surfaces. And it protects your biggest asset, your home, from potentially devastating damage.
Okay, so let's try and summarize this. Give the listener a clear decision framework. When is it DIY? When is it pro?
Okay, simple version. If you have any structural issues, bowing walls, significant cracks, or you see standing water, recurring leaks, visible mold, or you have health concerns related to basement air,
Yeah.
the answer is always call a professional. Immediately. Don't mess around. That's not a weekend DIY project.
Okay. And DIY is for?
DIY is really best for that minor dampness control, the dehumidifier, the ventilation, maybe that vapor paint if you have no active leaks. And definitely for that high-value exterior maintenance.
Yeah.
Gutters, downspouts, grading. Everyone should do that.
Makes sense.
And remember the bottom line here. Professional waterproofing, it feels like an expense, but it's really an investment.
An investment in preventing bigger costs later.
Exactly. You spend money once to prevent those potential disaster remediation bills, which can easily be 5-10 times the cost of the waterproofing itself. Plus, it protects and even increases your home's value.
Okay, let's leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on.
All right. Here's something we say a lot around here, and it's just true. The best time to waterproof your basement was yesterday, before you ever saw a drop of water.
Huh. Yeah. Wishful thinking for many.
Right. So the second best time is right now. But do it right. Call in professionals who actually understand the science, the pressures, the systems needed to keep your foundation dry for the long haul.
Be honest about what you're seeing down there. Don't ignore those subtle signs until they become big, expensive problems.
Couldn't say it better myself. Don't wait.
If you suspect you have an issue, or you just want peace of mind, reach out to us at DGI Waterproofing. Get a proper assessment from our certified team. We're here to help keep your basement dry, safe, and healthy.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. This has been UnderCover, Waterproofing and Underpinning Secrets, the podcast by DGI Waterproofing. We'll catch you on the next episode.